in the pentagram rite, I felt the air moving around me as I traced. This was beyond any sense of physical wind. And I smelt fragrant wood in the air. With the first set of vibrations, I saw a green dome. Then I saw that this dome had a wooden frame. Then I saw red lights, each joint of this frame. Then I saw a series of yellow lights surrounding the dome from afar. They were not all at the same height. Then it was as if the dome was floating, and I was floating. With the sixth set of vibrations, I heard dental sounds. With the seventh, I heard throat sounds. And with the eighth, I heard tongue sounds like clicks. And when I say 5 sets of vibrations, I mean that the scrying ritual was done in the evening. And if it was done between dusk and dawn, I mean 8. If it was done between dawn and sunrise, is what's meant by 3. With the final reading, I felt movement inside of me. And by the end of the final scrying, the room became as black in all its features. Not just the shelves over there, the floor, everything. And I felt very warm, content, soothed. Just like some of the content on my channel, the author of the Picatrix knew that some of the things being mentioned were contrary to their beliefs and practices. But in the interest of honestly presenting the tradition and the traditional interpretations, because there was a difference between, okay, here's what is transmitted and here's what's transmitted in terms of interpretation. So there's some distinguishing, much more than like when you pick up the Bible. In the Bible, you don't know whether it's supposed to be revelation or inspiration or representation or tradition about the people and stuff around what was going on there and their interpretations. You're not entirely sure what's what. And I would very much recommend this book in picking up attributes of, the symbolism of the planets and the elements and the zodiacal signs and, some other planets and stuff too, in a way that gives you more information than you should expect to be able to find with the internet search. And in terms of that, as much as some of these things are being presented, you do kind of get the idea that you can bless, you can offer your benedictions blessing such and such planet and the entities of that planet and that sort of stuff, or the entity, without actually praying to it. And honestly, if you're praying to something thinking that it only gets its power from ultimate deity, then, it amounts to the same thing, whether you have that in your mind or not. It's still worshiping something other than deity itself. Now, there are some medicinal things mentioned in here. Some of them are legitimate, some of them are not. Certainly some of the chemicals used are quite poisonous. And honestly, I think some of that comes through in the spiritual side of the tradition, is that the entities want to test you. They want to get you on their tradition instead of the revealed through the monotheist prophet tradition. So just like the secret Solomon talked about, purgative or violent means or bloodletting for atonement or other sacred purposes, here our idea is medicine. And as I said before, there are very good categories listed here as dividing up scenery, entities, animals, plants, medicine as far as plants, food, that sort of thing, trying to divide up life into the categories of, like in Kabbalah, you have your elements, and then you have your planets, and then you have your zodiacal signs. Here we kind of have that same stuff going on. One conclusion that is put forward in this book is that maybe certain things weren't forbidden in previous times, and it's like, yeah, they kind of were. But, I mean, not just kind of, definitely according to the same tradition. But some things, like, you wouldn't say that, like in the Bible, how it talks about the don't wear mixed fabrics. It's like, well, there could have been something associated with the people who made the mixed fabrics or that sort of thing. And some rules were for some time. But, the type of religion, the side you take, that sort of stuff, generally being modest and good and all that stuff, that sort of stuff wouldn't change. I do see New Agers talk about, and certainly one I've talked about on my channel, about how supposedly, the path, just like when I talked about Eckankar was one of those religions that was like, you're not necessarily orthodox or orthoprax, but you're trying to have an experience. There's reference to kind of doing what Jesus did in sort of a yogic, Gnostic sort of way. The body is like a cross, and you have these 7 levels and all that sort of stuff. I mean, I'm not going to give you the words listed in here in this program, or I guess not on my channel, because, it's his translation. Well, it's their translation, and it's a bit too new for that. And of course, we need to remember that these workings, although they're forming mental and spiritual links, that there is very much a physical reality that we need to deal with. And some of the substances listed now, well, we can use artificial dyes of these various colors, because the main point back in the day was that you had elements or colors attributed to the categories. Nowadays, we can do that a lot safer and more reasonably. Let's not forget how certain emotions or character traits would be listed under certain planets. But Islam, for example, would not blame character traits on the horoscope or the current star positions or anything like that.